State Department, they have announced just moments ago that they are suspending assistance to Pakistan. Michelle Kaczynski is with me now from the State Department. What exactly did they announce?
Hey, Brooke, well, we've known that the U.S. now is suspending more than $200 million worth of foreign military assistance to Pakistan. I mean, that was something of a surprise, even though what the State Department is saying now is that this should come as no surprise to Pakistan. But it's a big deal that now, we've heard the tough talk from President Trump as well as from the U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, on Pakistan, in the U.S.'s view, not doing enough to counter terrorism. So to take away this chunk of money, now they're announcing today, just now in fact, that they're withholding even more. They're suspending above and beyond that $255 million in security assistance. Here's what the State Department just told us.
Today, we can confirm that we are suspending national security, we are suspending security assistance only to Pakistan at this time, until the Pakistani government takes decisive action against groups, including the Afghan Taliban and the Haqqani network. We consider them to be destabilizing the region and also targeting U.S. personnel. The United States will suspend that kind of security assistance to Pakistan. Today, we can confirm that we are suspending national security, we are suspending security assistance only to Pakistan at this time, until the Pakistani government takes decisive action against groups, including the Afghan Taliban and the Haqqani network. We consider them to be destabilizing the region and also targeting U.S. personnel. The United States will suspend that kind of security assistance to Pakistan. We will not be delivering military equipment or transfer security-related funds to Pakistan unless it is required by law. I think that part answers your questions. There may be some exceptions that are made on a case-by-case basis if they're determined to be critical to national security interests. Pakistan has the ability to get this money back, if you will, in the future, but they have to take decisive action. They have to take decisive steps. Okay? Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Heather.
Have a good day.
The US is suspending its security assistance to Pakistan, which has long been its ally in the fight against terrorism in Afghanistan. Washington accuses Pakistan of not making a serious effort in fighting terror groups like the Taliban.
We are suspending security assistance only to Pakistan at this time, until the Pakistani government takes decisive action against groups, including the Afghan Taliban and the Haqqani network. We consider them to be destabilizing the region and also targeting U.S. personnel. The United States will suspend that kind of security assistance to Pakistan.
Well, it is in the wake of Trump's first tweet of the year, which outlined his regret at the US paying Pakistan billions of dollars in aid. He accused Washington's regional ally of being a safe haven for terrorists in Afghanistan, which America's trying to defeat. Trump's Twitter diplomacy sparked a furious response, though, from Pakistan's foreign minister. Samira Khan has more on that and also the wider ramifications.
Well, the foreign minister of Pakistan, Khwaja Asif, has issued a fierce response to Trump accusing Pakistan of providing safe havens for terrorists they're fighting in Afghanistan in not one tweet, but three.
You ask what we've done. From our bases, you carried out 57,800 attacks on Afghanistan. Thousands of our civilians and soldiers became victims of the war you initiated. We stood by you, treated your enemy as our own. We filled Guantanamo Bay. Now, history teaches us not to blindly trust the US. We are sorry they are unhappy, but we will not demean ourselves anymore.
And the foreign minister hasn't exactly held back when it comes to this particular issue. He even said in the past that the terrorists that Pakistan is accused of harboring were once, quote, darlings of the U.S. who were being wined and dined in the White House. So Trump's tweets rightfully struck a nerve. And immediately following those tweets, Pakistani officials converged for an emergency security meeting to discuss the issue. But Pakistanis in general haven't taken Trump's tweets so kindly. And ironically enough, it seems to have united the country's warring factions. For example, Imran Khan, chairman of Pakistan's Tehreek-e-Insaf party, had a pretty interesting reaction, calling Trump mentally weak. Now the U.S. has even placed Pakistan on a special watch list for allegedly violating religious freedom. But with all that being said, the war in Afghanistan is far from over, and the U.S. has already lost thousands of lives and spent trillions of dollars. But without its neighbors' support, it's unclear how far the U.S. can really go.
So this is a big move. State Department spokeswoman Heather Nauert with me. And Heather, good morning to you, and thank you for your time on this, well, first week of the new year. Good morning. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Gotcha.
Good morning, Bill.
What do you want from the Pakistani government to take away $255 million?
Well, first of all, that's foreign military financing. That's money that the U.S. provides to Pakistan, and then Pakistan turns around and buys our military hardware from that. That is an announcement that we made back in August when the president announced his South Asia review strategy. And basically what the president and what Secretary Tillerson and also Secretary Mattis have continuously asked Pakistan to do is to take more action against terrorists and also militants in Pakistan. That is something that Pakistan recognizes it needs to do. We've made that extremely clear. The U.S. government has not made any new announcements just yet about any additional military funding that may or may not be withheld. Our announcement thus far is the $255 million that's been suspended.
It's labeled security assistant. How is that defined? And does that affect our ongoing efforts in Afghanistan?
Again, Bill, this is nothing new that the U.S. government has announced. We announced the $255 million a few months ago. Whether or not we decide to withhold any other money is up for the president to decide, and the president will announce that. But what the president has asked Pakistan to do repeatedly is to take more action against militants and terrorists in Pakistan. We have had a complicated relationship with Pakistan. You may recall that they were of assistance to the U.S. government when it came to releasing the Coleman family, an American citizen from the United States earlier or late last year, but yet it was a country that also harbored Osama bin Laden. So it's been a complicated relationship with Pakistan.
We are working for more on that. Meanwhile, further east in Iran, and this is a story that's brewing quite well, Mike Pence wrote a piece saying the following, this time we will not be silent on Iran, referring back to 2009. The United States has spoken clearly and unequivocally. Unfortunately, many of our European partners, as well as the United Nations, have thus far failed to forcefully speak out on the growing crisis in Iran. It's time for them to stand up. What could be different with this level of pressure?
Well, I think the United States is a leader in this. We call out other nations when other nations are treating their people badly. We have seen thousands of protesters take to the streets in Iran, and they're protesting for a better economic opportunity. They expected to get something out of the Iran nuclear deal. The leaders there of that country promised that that money would benefit all the citizens, but yet we have seen Iran take that money and funnel it into the Houthi rebels in Yemen. We've seen them spend money in Syria. We've seen them outfit Hezbollah. They're not spending their money on their own people. That is a concern of ours. We would like to see other nations around the world stand up in support of the Iranian people. We don't take issue with the Iranian people. We have an issue with the regime in Iran that mistreats its people. You'll see, we think, a UN Security Council emergency session coming forward, hopefully in the next few days, in which the U.S. will encourage other countries to support the people of Iran.
Quickly, then I got one more question. Does the State Department believe this regime can be overturned?
What do you mean by overturned?
Revolution.
Well, that's not what we are looking for. We are looking for change. We are looking for Iran to start listening to its people. It's not doing that yet, and I'm not going to get ahead of things at this point.
Right. North Korea, quickly. There was a line of communications reestablished between North and South Korea. Do you think that's legit? Or does the State Department and others believe that North Korea is just buying more time?
Look, we don't have an issue with that. If North Korea wants to pick up the phone and talk to its neighbor, South Korea, we have no problem with that. Our policy remains the same, and frankly, it's the same policy as South Korea, Japan, and many other countries in the world, and that is the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. We do not believe that Kim Jong-un is sincere in his interest in denuclearizing the Korean Peninsula, but that's something that we'll continue to push for. We believe our maximum pressure campaign that the president laid out is having an effect, and that is why we believe Kim Jong-un was willing to pick up the phone and talk with the South.
Olympics are 5 weeks away in South Korea. Heather Nauert, thank you for your time today at the State Department. We hope you come back very soon.
Thanks, Bill. Good to see you.
Thank you for your time. You bet.